Je luistert naar een nieuwe aflevering van Over Eten, de podcast voor nieuwsgierige eters en drinkers. Mijn naam is Tim de Schacht. Welkom bij een nieuwe aflevering van Over Eten. Van de street naar de grote stad. Dat is zowat het verhaal van Mission Masala. Het Indisch concept van Pavan en Tim brengt het beste van India naar de tafel en viert zo de heritage van Pavan, die in Londen geboren is als dochter van Indische ouders. Ze groeide op in de keuken naast haar moeder en slorpte alle kennis op als een naan en currysaus. Ze leerde Tim kennen op Laundry Day en deze DJ, foodie, viel voor haar kookkunsten en zo kiemde het zaadje voor Mission Masala. Zeker omdat Tim foodtruck ervaring had door zijn werk. Hij richtte Barrio Cantina op, het eerste echte foodtruck festival van het land. In 2018 ging de eerste vaste vestiging open en de awards liepen even hard binnen als het grote publiek. Daarna verscheen Pavan nog op Masterchef. De collabs waren populair, zoals die met Oldboy. En binnenkort zijn ze officieel auteur van hun eerste boek, Mission Masala, Eat Indian. I don't know if I can say namaste, but welcome for sure.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
So, growing up in London and moving to Belgium, that must have been a bit of a shock because, in a way, I think there's a lot more Indian and Indian heritage to be found in London than there is here.
I think when you move away from it, you realize how much there is there. I think it was more of a reflection when I arrived in Belgium to see, okay, there's actually almost no Indian food here compared to a market that's completely saturated with it. So I think it was actually the other way around.
So you started to appreciate everything a lot more.
A lot more, yeah.
And then all those days spent in the kitchen at home, when you grew up, that...
They came in handy because I had nowhere else to eat. Yeah.
So growing up, what is it like to grow up in an Indian household? Because we're two Belgian boys, we have no idea.
Well, I think Tim has a little bit of an insight of it now. Of my life, yeah. But growing up in an Indian household, I'm a daughter of migrants. They worked almost around the clock all the time. So everything they did was for the education for my sisters and my brother, where I'm one of four. But everything was it heavily revolves around food, eating together. I think we spend a lot more time preparing food and than we do when we sit down and we eat. But it's definitely about communal eating and just making sure that each time you sit down that there is a feast.
Because you're actually the first generation, so to speak. Your parents were the migrants. They really brought their recipes and their traditions with them.
Yeah, they brought their recipes and traditions with them, but they had to adapt it because they had to adapt to the produce that was available in England at the time. So it wasn't that they had the ingredients directly straight away. So, for example, yesterday I was talking to my sister and she was telling me, I'm making spinach like saag. And I said, what are you putting in it? And she said, actually Mum made it and she left it in the freezer here. And she was like, but my mother-in-law's recipe is completely different. And I was like, well, I've got my other sister's mother-in-law's recipe. I said, she puts this in it, this in it, this. And so actually, we were just discussing exactly the same thing that you just have to adapt most of the time. But of course, there are some core classics that you can't change, and that's like the masalas that go in, your turmeric and things like that. But it's definitely adaptable from house to house as well.
That's something I've learned from people talking to me and reading in books, that every household has their own spice blends.
Yes.
And there's this word in Korean that means hand flavor. Which also says that even if you have the same recipe and the same ingredients, things are still going to be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Because the way you cook and the way you season things is different. And I think that definitely goes. But maybe you should guide us through some of the basics, because we can talk about Indian cooking, but India is a big country.
It's huge. And I think
there's a lot of cultural differences within that country as well. You have some of the Muslim majority in the north. You have Hindus throughout the country. You have some other religions sparse through there.
Yeah, so geographically, the kitchen or the cuisine of India is also broken up into region, and that depends on weather. So in the north, it also gets super cold, but you'll also have warm summers. The produce comes from the hills or from green land, whereas in the south, maybe it's a little bit more, the coastal parts, it's a lot more coconut, whereas in the north, you'll have a lot more dairy and butters and more hearty, rich stuff. Along the coast, you have things that are a little bit more light.
Seafood as well.
Seafood and so on as well.
It makes sense to have seafood along the coast.
Or
They're all
you
about it.
also have like river fish. So, for example, where the region my family's from Punjab, they have a dish called Amritsari fish, and that is a river fish. So it's not necessary that it has to be prawns or fish from salt water. But of course, like you mentioned, there's also things religiously that are broken up. So you have Hindus who are meant to be vegetarian. Even furthermore from there, you have like Jains who don't eat anything from the root. So, for example, anything that's grown in the soil, that's something that's out their diet. You have the Portuguese in Goa and in Mumbai. They would eat beef, they would eat pork, they would eat all the meats and so on. You have the Muslims that will only eat halal. They will eat, again, all the meat, but they won't eat pork. And then, of course, my region, where my family comes from, traditionally they're Sikhs, so they are meant to be vegetarian, but many non-Orthodox Sikhs drink a lot. And with alcohol comes a lot of like heavy foods, rich heavy foods, and then they will eat according to that. But next to that, you also have seasons. So I know, for example, my mum, when it's summer, she will cook a lentil, a very light summer lentil. So they're like split beans, they're not the thick, rich ones. When it comes to winter, then you'll have kidney beans, you'll have all the thicker, heavier stuff. So according to seasons as well, that depends, region by region, the things that we'll eat.
And then on top of that, there's also the influence of colonialism.
Absolutely,
The British that spent quite a bit of time in India, they must have brought some stuff back with them to India as well.
I think they brought a lot of stuff from India as well as to India.
Let's call it what it is. They looted a lot of stuff from India and anywhere else they colonized. But they also must have left somewhat of an influence on the culture.
I think there's a lot of dishes that are in India that were created for the British because they couldn't handle the heat, they couldn't handle the spices. Coronation chicken, for example, it's like a mix of Madras curry powder. That was also a dish, a curry powder that was invented specifically for the Brits, so they could enjoy a lot more milder, lighter flavors. So I think there's a whole colonial influence. But next to that, there's also there's things like the street snacks. These are also things that maybe not specifically for the colonial side, but this is something that goes from the north of India to south of India. This is something that every single part of India will enjoy, and that's these little the street chart of India. It's like a loaded thing with sauces. It's full of tamarind, it's full of sour notes, it's full of spicy notes, these kind of things. It's just loaded with textures, with crunch, with spice, with fresh produce like onions and coriander and pomegranates. This is like a universal dish that wherever you travel in India, some things you will get regional, but the chart dishes and the street food will really you'll see that from the north, south, east, and west as well.
Yeah, because we just had the conversation about regions, culture, influence, but then there's also layers. The caste system is something that also probably has had an influence on food, where the lower castes were not able to eat the same things as higher castes, and the poor versus the rich. But street food versus big dinners is also a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from our travels, when we've travelled a lot in India, we barely eat sitting down in a restaurant. So we just follow where all the crowds are and where they're all grouped together. And we only ever really eat from. At some point, I'm just like, can we just sit down and have a dinner? And we sit down, have a dinner. I'm disappointed because we didn't have everything getting made in front of you.
But this is like generations working on the same dish as well. You see, poor and rich together. queuing up for that street food.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's like one of the things that street food they'll do. The street vendors, they will only have one dish. It's not that they have like a full menu. They'll have one dish and they'll just nail that dish. It's the best dish you can possibly get. They'll have their own signature sauces. They'll have their own little recipes that they will never share with anybody else. But you see them; they produce it fresh on that day for that day, and when it's finished, then their day is done. It's not that they're working with refrigeration. They're not working with heating it and cooling it for the next day. None of this kind of stuff goes on. So it's all just fresh produce and like family dishes that have been passed down.
So you grew up in London. Did you travel back and forth regularly?
Well, I grew up, but just west of London, a small place called Slough. It's
still London enough
yeah,
for
it's
us.
still London enough. Yeah, I think anybody that doesn't know England, I always just say London. It's easier. But Slough is it's a migrant town. That's where all the workers used to find work and so on. And it's one of the closest towns that's near Heathrow Airport. So you get off at the airport and then you go close enough to the trading towns. But because we were a big family, it wasn't that we would go every year. My dad would save for a few years and then the whole family would go. So I still remember flying on like Air India and opening the curtains and then walking through the smoking section of the planes like a big cloud of smoke. And then even back then, we used to travel when there was nothing to do with like Google Maps or an Uber driver or booking your train tickets online. So I remember just arriving in the middle of the night in Delhi, my dad trying to get a taxi, putting us all, I must have been so stressful, is all I can say, getting us all through customs, getting all our luggage, ending up in a taxi, taking us to a train station. Maybe we arrived there at like 10 o'clock at night or even 11 o'clock and you have to wait till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for your train, or you're there 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and you have to get a train to Punjab from Delhi. There was no connections. Like now you can get a flight directly to Punjab, but yeah, we never had that. So we used to travel, but it was, I have to say, it was definitely... Maybe it wasn't so much a culture shock as it was an adventure, but I remember sitting on the train station platform. We were all cold, we were all hungry, and then there was a guy selling cakes and we were like, we want a cake, Dad, we want something. He had these little cakes, and then I just remember like out of the middle of nowhere, like a rat just flew, snatched it out of the man's hand and flew, and so then we're like, we don't want cake, it's okay, we don't want cake. But then we'd always travel to the farm, and my family are there farming and agriculture, and that was the best thing. So you would be eggs and chickens running around, there was buffaloes, they would get fresh milk from the cows in the morning, and then we ate the best fresh produce really from the field. We would brush our teeth with like these little twigs. The tree that is kind of like I can't even remember what the name of it is. It's like there for toothbrush. That's what they make toothpaste out of. So we used to peel back the stalks and brush our teeth with them. We would have a bath in like a big concrete pit, kind of on the actual farm.
Back to basics.
Sugarcane. It was really back to basics. I mean, I remember over the years, my dad had to send money back, so we had a proper bathroom and a toilet because we refused to go after our first visit. We're like, we're not going if we don't have a proper toilet. So yeah, he did that. So it was very, very humble, basic beginnings, and yeah, it was for us as kids. It was definitely an adventure.
Absolutely. How was before you guys met? You had your own life, and you've had life experience. You were a DJ and a foodie. You were well traveled. The first time you went to India, was that with her?
It was.
And how was that?
The word culture shock, as everybody describes it, for sure. Because first time I think we went to Mumbai.
Yeah. Mumbai.
And we traveled on, I guess.
And then we took a overnight train. We went to Goa. We went to Kerala.
But inspiring. It was. I remember that feeling that at night when you go to bed, you're exhausted mentally and physically. And I would wake up early morning and I was just rushing around. Come on, get up, please. Come on, let's go out. I want to see and experience all of that again every day. Same. Like super tired at night from all the
dopamine hit.
Yes.
But we also, I mean, we went to night markets, so you'd see like from morning till night, it's like beep, 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 and someone like, everyone's trying to approach you, someone's saying something. You had the luxury of just observing, because I had to do all the communication, and at some point I was like, you have to keep like talking and asking, and where are we going?
Because it wasn't your first language either. Huh?
It's also not my first. I speak Punjabi, so I had to like.
Mumbai is Hindi.
Yeah, I speak my Hindi. I didn't even realize I could speak it actually, but it was just from watching Bollywood movies from growing up. So I kind of like spoke a little bit of broken Hindi and got by. But yeah,
I think from my experience, whenever you try, people appreciate it.
yeah.
And then people respond accordingly. Like, okay, at least you're trying. Let's figure a way how to communicate.
Yeah, for sure. They didn't laugh. They didn't flinch. So I was like, okay, I think I've pulled it off.
In India, they just say yes, sir, yes, madam. Anyway, to everything you ask. So.
But so you by then you probably would have tried her cooking.
Absolutely.
And then you go to India. A new world opens because you're Punjabi, or can I say you're Punjabi?
Yeah, I'm Punjabi. Yeah.
Good. That's just a small part of India. So then, a world of possibilities and flavors opens up.
I did get the why don't you make this at home? Why didn't I never try this before? I got that
all the time. I think. Yeah. I was really wowed by the cuisine for sure, and of course. We already experienced quite a lot of it back in UK. Like every time we would go to England, I would beg her, please, let's go for dinner somewhere. And as much as I love her mom's cooking, for me, the restaurant experience is different because then it's more about the kebabs and the mixed grill and some of the street food dishes.
Tandoor cooked stuff, like from
like fresh naan.
That's something you don't really cook in a house. So it's,
but then experiencing it on the street in India, that's next level. So
we did. I think once when we went to Delhi, we did a little food tour. We've done a couple of food tours actually, but I think we went through all the back alleys. You would see like a goat getting slaughtered next to it, another goat sitting just watching, and next to that a cat waiting.
A cat would be licking the blood.
Yeah. So it was really just like really the back.
And it's 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So you can't. Yeah.
But then you see the open fire, so they'd be like cooking on the street with small skewers but we didn't shy away from it. We absolutely tried everything.
Not everything. I remember like one massive pot, somebody stirring it, and we're like, okay, what's that? And it's just like cow tongue.
Oh yeah,
like a curry of cow tongue with like tens of cow tongues floating around, and I was like, don't thank you.
Cow tongue is delicious though. It's really good.
I believe you.
It's like that's the thing with meat. Muscles that work are muscles that taste well, and a tongue does a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it stops for me.
All right. Cook it low and slow, and then crisp it up. Okay. It's also super delicious, like tacos de lengua in Mexico. But I think my problem here with the old school dish tongue en madera sauce is mostly that when I grew up, the tongue was overcooked. It was like soggy and mushy, and that's just not a nice texture. Because that's also a thing that I've noticed about Indian food. You can talk about curries, which usually are thick sauces. Yeah. But there's a lot of texture in the food, in the way of papadums, in the way of like a bhaji that has a nice crisp to it. The naans that have like the fluffy texture of a delicious bread. Yeah. Is that like that everywhere throughout India in the cuisine?
I would say so, right? It's like, but I think it's not just the cuisine. I think it's the culture. Like, you cannot have one simple, straightforward thing, whether it's visual, whether it's, I remember.
It's always layered.
Yeah, it's just layer upon layer. Like, even if they give you a plate, it's not just going to be a simple thing on it. It will be decorated with something, even if it's just like this make do cucumber kind of salad or whatever it is. There'll be something on it. It'll have the color of a chili powder dusted on top. I think the crunch of the save is the little
fried chickpeas, puffed rice, and so on.
Yeah, it's really. I think it's culturally. There's no such thing as. It's about decoration. I remember when my mum we were growing up, and we'd always ask, me and my sisters would always be in black. She was like, "What are you doing? What are you wearing?" And she always wanted us to have a decoration on a piece of clothing, like, and I think that's somehow like, if you have your hair, they wanted you to put a clip on it. If you have your makeup, you need to put your bindi. So I think it's just about levels of adornment on things, and then I think it just is a philosophy that goes through every aspect. Like, even if you think the rickshaw drivers, the tuk-tuks, the bike, everything has something hanging off it, whether it's a bell or a whistle, or there's like flowers.
Just like every house, every wall,
Yeah.
you see. That's one of the things that surprised me the most, is also like, if you go through India, everywhere you see color, and you see a lot of colors together that maybe you thought that wouldn't match, but they make it match. And
there's definitely some
layers,
harmony in the chaos of it all, for sure.
That decorations, that color, that all comes back into the restaurant that you guys created. Those conversations about starting it, because you started back about 10 years ago. You guys been together for a bit longer than that. When did those conversations start? Did they start when you came back from India? Did they start in India? Was it a thing before India?
You know what happened? I used to work in clothing, and that's the reason I ended up in Belgium, and I travelled a lot. So when I used to travel, and I used to go across to like, whether it was New York, whether it was LA, whether it was Japan. Every time Tim joined me, he actually helped me rediscover the cities by looking up, looking around, and he was like, "Wow, this is amazing, this is great, this is nice. And often I would hear him say, "Why don't we have this in Belgium? Why don't we have this in Belgium?" And I think one of the biggest things that I think Tim noticed was that there was these ideas of having a full experience when you're in a restaurant. So you have from the moment you walk in, from the setting,
the service,
it's a full complete package, right?
And all different cuisines, because like 10 years ago there was not so much Asian food. We had the local Chinese, and there was Thai food. But I think, for example, Korean food, something from the last maybe 4 or 5 years. But then there is still so much more for us to discover. Still nowadays, I think of Indonesian food. So big in Holland, still yet in Belgium. Doesn't
for
exist.
Historical reasons, obviously.
Yeah, of course. But there's amazing cuisines that somehow still didn't make it to Belgium, and I was just jealous and frustrated that, like, fuck, I want to eat this more often.
But I think 10 years ago you were at the start of something that made it possible, which was the food truck revolution, I would say. Before that, what we had were the local ice cream trucks, and then maybe a couple of friteries.
But back then, I think at the same time, that was when LA food trucks were a huge thing, right?
In LA.
In LA, but then, I think Holland picked up on it pretty fast.
For sure.
Yeah, they were someone...
But the thing is, like, I used to work for Pole Festival, and the reason why we started with Barrio Cantina is, I think 3 years in a row, Pole Beach here in Ostende, really shitty weather. And then Jo, the founder of Pole, said, like, guys, let's do something else, because there's no much fun in organizing a festival on the beach if it's raining all weekend. But Jo already himself had a few nice old-timer trucks, and I think he must have been one of the first people to invite some of these food trucks coming from Holland and to the Pole Festival. We were looking for some different approach, different ideas. I remember together we went to Rollende Keukens in Amsterdam, and that must be 10, 11 years ago now. And we were like, "Wow, what is this?"
It was like a fairground,
wasn't
it?
Yeah,
like,
over 100 food trucks.
I think that must have been 2012, 2013, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I had the immediate reflex of taking a picture of every single food truck on the festival and taking their business cards. And that same night when we got back home, I put everything in Excel and made my first database with all the contacts, and that's how Barrio Cantina was born. And then together with my colleague Christine back in the day, we just made it happen. First one was in
Antwerp.
Zebrastraat in Gent, now followed by the week after in the Kai in Antwerp. And I remember back then, we got all the national media on it, like, what is a food truck? Even the news channels came. What is a food truck? It just
funny.
didn't exist yet. Maybe that there were maybe 2 or 3.
It's funny because it was a thing because it wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we have had. I remember seeing the ice cream trucks everywhere in the city.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the frietkotjes everywhere in the city during the fairs. Right now it's October here in Ostende. There's the Oktobervoer. There's always been a food truck selling hot dogs and sausages and burgers. In a way, we are very familiar with the concept. We were just not familiar with a different expression of that concept, I would say.
Yeah.
So instead of having fries or ice cream, it would have been Indian food or Korean or Mexican food. And all of us thought it was, wow, the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there was also like, again, the visual part. I think that's also what Roland de Keukens focused on, is making sure that it's not just good food that's being served, but it's also something nice to look at. There's show cooking, there's beautiful old-timer trucks, and that was always for us also key.
They definitely, it's a curated event.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, okay, you've got a truck, now come in. The variety that they had was, you have a Ferris wheel that you can have a pancake on, it goes round, and by the time you finish, you can get off. There's like Yuri Tandoori, I was like, a Belgian and a Dutch guy just, making.
I remember that one.
making
Yeah,
naans
he was here in Ostend, one of the first
and
editions.
Beef Chief, I mean, he's the
Godfather of the
smash burgers. He's been making
the
them,
lowlands for sure.
for sure. He was making the best smash burgers, and I was like, what is he doing? He's covering them with a little thing and letting them steam a little bit, sizzle, and it was great. So I think the way that they all the catchy names, the finishing of the truck.
I remember shout out to Mamba, one of the first Mexican food trucks.
Jill. Yeah, absolutely.
They were always next to us in the Barrier cantinas as well. We did quite a few festivals next to them, but we were happy to have trade our curries for some Mexican food.
There's actually a really good Mexican Indian fusion restaurant in Mexico City.
Yeah, I've heard.
Masala Maíz.
Yeah.
And they're creating something new, and in a way, to me, it makes a lot of sense, because what has happened throughout history, there was trade routes.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Arabian influences in Spanish cuisine have also been exported from India all the way to Spain through those trade routes. A lot of those influences have stuck. That's one part.
Yeah.
But then also, India has had a lot of influence on the rest of Southeast Asia.
Well, there's also if you think of the trade routes that you're talking about, turmeric is not from India. The Persians brought it in. So there's a whole selection of spice that I think people assume.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying with those trade routes. So you have the Arab influence on Spain, so they went to Mexico, but then you also have the Southeast Asian influence on Mexico coming from the Manila galleons. There was a lot of trade, and especially you see the mezcal selection here. There's a thing called Filipino still. But if you look at some alcohol production in India, it's exactly the same type of still. So, India, the Philippines, they used that same technology and have exported that in a way to Mexico. So a lot of the modern day moles have a lot of similarities with Indian curries to me.
The Rajma.
Because of those cultural exchanges in both directions.
But you've got trade routes, but you also got migrants. I mean, for example, one of my biggest discoveries through all of our travels has been that I don't know why I didn't even think about it, and I realized that Indians also took food to the other parts of the globe, and to see that kitchen evolve and become a fusion. So in Singapore and Malaysia, the mamaks there.
South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. South Africa's still on the map to do that one. So if you just see all of these cuisines and how they've got I've got a British take on Indian cuisine, but when you think of an East Asian twist on things, I'm like, what? It's got Indian flavors and noodles all in one place. It's amazing.
But also the other way around. Where do you think chili peppers came from? Everyone associates Indian food with chili peppers and spiciness, but that is a product from America.
Yeah.
From the Americas.
Yeah.
So that got shipped via trade routes again into India, and you guys happily adopted.
Yeah, exactly.
And that became a thing.
Yeah.
Even though I must say, and you'll probably back me on this one, not all Indian food is supposed to be spicy.
Absolutely not. I think that's one of the biggest myths, and that's something that I often explain to people. Tim eats more spicy food. Heat chili. I said, yes, it's spicy because it's full of spices, but it's not necessarily...
it's not hot food.
It's not hot, no.
So, just for the record, spicy food in the Indian food context means spices.
Yeah.
Spicy is not necessarily hot heat from capsaicin.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they make it spicy, it is spicy. Just, I've had a few encounters where I was like, okay, this is...
Sweating, I'm like, he's not going to make it.
Yeah, I did that challenge once in a restaurant here in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, make it spicy. And he goes like, put more in. He looks at me, he goes like, what? I'm like, put more in. And then just kept going just to see how crazy I could put it. And it was delicious, but very, very hot. So let's get back to the food truck idea. Where did those conversations start? Because you were working in fashion, you were working as a DJ, as a promoter for the Pole Pole Festival and some other activities. That's still a jump to opening your own food truck, let alone opening a restaurant.
Well, I think when it comes to the food truck, I think there were two things coming together. First of all, one of our friends has a bar in Antwerpen, Café, and
bars are always a good place to get.
Exactly, for sure. But they still organize their yearly Café street party, and he was one of the first ones asking Pavan like, maybe you should come and sell some of your food here, and then.
I just rock
that
up
was
with my
our
little
very
shaping
first
dishes.
event.
It looked like a little school fete. I'm there like, someone buy my curry.
That was our very first event, yours. So
it was the first time.
I was DJing, you were cooking and
shifting
selling
like bhajis while people could have them as
samosas.
well.
So someone just basically a friend of the family, I would say, asked you like, just come over. And then what's your first response to it? Is it like, fuck yeah, I'll do it? Or is it like, should I do it?
Often my response is yes to lots of things, and I'll think about the consequences after. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, I didn't think, I barely think things through. But at the same time, you asked me a little bit about how it was growing up at home. And I think that's what really helped me is the fact that when we cook, we don't necessarily cook, our weekly cooks are for the family, but you never know who's going to turn up. You never know who's going to rock up. So you have to have some real staples at home and be ready from one moment to another to just cook for 40 people, just like that. So it can be one night someone turns up, and then get another phone call, why don't you come over? And in the end, before you know it, you're cooking big batch, which is for 40 people. And I think that comes so naturally. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can take that on. And I think so. When it came to street party, I didn't really think of.
And then volume. I think after the first edition of Barrio Cantina, I think I came home and I said, look, you can easily do this. And by then we already had some great ideas when it comes to, if I may say myself, let's say we had a lot of ideas about how to style it and how to present it. And
I do have to say that Tim was definitely the one who was probably putting all ideas into my head and on the table and just be like, okay, what about this? Because I had.
So he was like that little devil on your shoulder,
exactly.
just whispering in the ear.
She was doing all the hard work.
Whenever she was sleeping, you were like over her, like you should cook. You should.
No, I just came home one day with an old Constructam caravan. And that's it.
Oh, by the way, here's your food truck. What?
Okay, and so, let's put a menu together. I was like, what menu? And
but then also it has to be, if people are very exciting about what you did at that street party, that reinforces things, and then that it snowballs from there. Because if you were going to be there with all your food at the end of the day left over, chances are slim you would have gone into the food business.
I'm always there for the leftovers. Don't worry about it.
But for sure, it's such a pleasure to get people's reactions with the food, and I think that's something still now today. we get that at the festivals. It's such a pleasure to get people coming back, not first time, second time, third time. I mean, they'll be there sometimes twice a day for the whole weekend or 3 times a day, and they'll queue.
That's not exaggerated.
Yeah, and they'll queue for however long it takes to get that, and just that. It's really rewarding. It's such a nice feeling for someone to come. It was amazing. It's great. I really loved it. Or during festival season, I get lots of messages in our Insta asking, "Are you going to be there? Yeah, are you going to be with this truck? Are you going to be serving this dish?" So I'm like, I don't know. It's February yet, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's even after 10 years, it doesn't tire you. Those responses.
That would be a lie.
Those responses.
The responses,
they give the
definitely
energy.
Not. Yeah,
for sure.
They
give the
the
energy.
fuel. That's definitely the fuel to keep us going and to get us motivated.
Makes the whole team happy. If somebody comes back to you with like happy, that's always
and
nice
they're long
reward.
hours when you're at the festivals. It's from morning till night. You're there to do the setup. You're there for the shutdown. So
Party in between.
Yeah, a little bit of partying in between. But definitely, I think this is something the team love the response. It's really nice, even if they're just serving it and didn't cook it, or whoever's on the barbecue sweating away in all the heat. I mean, it's nice to hear. Thank you, and it was good.
Because what also is really striking to me is that you guys are clever. You guys are smart. You guys built a big business out of a food truck. This is not always the logical next couple of steps. Sometimes you see food trucks growing up into a brick and mortar. You guys have done a lot more. Is that something that was in the back of your minds when you got started, or was it going to be like,
No.
oh, we have a food truck now, let's do a couple of festivals, let's have fun?
I think, it's the first time that anyone's told us that we're clever and smart. I'll take that.
I'm not so sure about that, to be honest. But
For us, it was a hobby, and I still tell people this is an out of control hobby. We both had jobs, we both had careers. It wasn't something that we were missing. I guess we were just missing. We wanted something that we would like to have. We wanted to create something that we would like to enjoy. And so I think we did it more from that kind of perspective to say, okay, what would we like to eat if we went to a festival? What would we like to drink if you're sitting in a restaurant eating this food? And, it was more about what we would like and creating that rather than a plan. There was never a...
It's also the creative part is probably one of the most fun parts of the whole project also. So, and once it's there, thinking, oh, maybe what else could we do? And then that's how... The next step.
It makes perfect sense that you say it this way, because that's also what you had done before. You had one project. Once that was up and running, you could hand it off to somebody else to keep it running, and you started working on new things. That sounds to me something that happens in fashion as well.
Absolutely.
Once the line is there and the clothes are there, somebody else needs to sell it. You're on to the next season.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that the creative part for sure. We also teamed up with a really amazing graphic designer as well. So I used to work together with Olivier Smits, and he was a graphic designer at Lee at the time. And that would always be some of the things. Believe it or not, he's never been to India. He doesn't read or write Hindi. But all the artworks and the graphics and the colours and the visuals that go together with it was he does it with just
he blends it perfectly. You do it with the food.
Yeah.
He does it with the visuals.
Yeah.
And we sometimes bring.
The way was definitely organic. So I would come with our mood board. We came with our thing of how we saw it. Tim would explain a little
full
bit.
Suitcases as well, because every time we would travel to India,
Yeah.
we'd come back with suitcases full of stuff that we found on the street. Or
Can I buy that sign? And they're like, oh, okay, you can buy that sign. And cutting it off. Like,
asking to empty a rice bag because the rice bag is so beautiful, and then just take the empty rice
and they're
bag
just
home.
like, okay, here you go. But I think it was working with those kind of mood boards, and then of course his hand drawings are beautifully done. There was a moment where we had to work together and coach a little bit of breaking that disruption of color usage, because in the beginning it was just about working with harmonies, and it would be a base color, there would be an accent color, and I was like, no, we just got to use all the base colors that are not going to match together. We're going to put them together, then we're going to use a whole load of accents that also don't match together, and then once that's done, we're going to chuck an extra one in for the thing. So it was just sitting next to him, just saying, color that like that, color that, okay, now add that, and he's like, oh, but now it's It's like
he's
it
off
comes so
Indian.
naturally. I have to sometimes say to him, "What does that say?" And he's like, "It says that in Hindi." I'm like, "All right, thanks."
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's become fluent in Hindi because of you.
Oh, but yeah. So that whole thing.
So far for speaking Hindi from Bollywood movies, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think that part of the language naturally became a red thread that goes throughout everything that we do.
But I feel like once you guys had it going, the food truck was up on festivals, things moved pretty fast because I think, a year and a half after you quit your job to focus on Mission Masala. I
True.
remember seeing that email, "Hey, Stain, I'm not going to be at Pole Pole anymore."
Oh.
And I thought that was pretty quick after you guys got started.
Well, I think our first food truck event was here in Ostende. It was Barrio Cantina Ostende. And I think over there we got already approached by Gent Jazz, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So straight away we saw a little bit the potential. And of course it's fun to work for yourself and you want to try and achieve something. On top of that, because I was part of the organization, I saw who was making what and who was selling the best and who was selling the least. And then
Insider information is always good.
definitely. And that's where I think for the first time in my life I got a little bit ambitious. And then I said, oh, look, the burgers are selling the most, and then followed by the guys doing the barbecue. You know what? India is also about grill, street grill, the kebabs. And then we came up with the idea together with Hido, who was back in the day, was our intern at Pole Pole. And he could have been my son. And I think with us nearly a 20-year age gap. But we got along very well straight away. And immediately he kind of joined us on that journey. He was also, well, we should try this and let's try Indian burgers. And the three of us together made it happen. And that
He's a Dutch guy, and I think Dutch are super straightforward, very direct. They tell you exactly what it is, and we're like, okay, this mentality works with how we like it, thing. And
I dream, you execute, and he's also like the driving part.
He's really a doer. Now he takes care of all the events and catering and festival part of things. So without him, I think.
Voilà. And then that's how Bombay Barbecue, the second food truck, was born. And that immediately, we pitched to all the other festivals, because all of a sudden, all the festivals realized, okay, there's something new, and the food court, let's introduce that to our festivals. Then we have to invest less in decoration ourselves. I think that was a bit of the philosophy behind it. And I think after year one, straight away, we got invited to Pickle Pop.
That was a good one. We were so excited. We were like, and the whole team were like, we're going to go. We're like, yeah, we'll go. And I think, we were ecstatic to just be at this big event. And it was an honor to get invited.
But then every festival, people would come to us, oh, that was amazing. Okay, where can we find you guys? Where's your restaurant? I'm like,
because for a lot of the food trucks, it came out of restaurants and not the other way around.
No.
For example, Balls and Glory Van Bajwa is a good example.
Yeah.
He had the restaurants, and then they set up a food truck specifically to be able to attend those events. And a lot of food trucks were like that, in the way I feel it, at least. Not going to say for sure, but you guys were the other way around. You started from a truck.
But it's also for practical reasons, because we soon realized, like, okay, we have to find a kitchen, like a kitchen where we can
keep
operate
using
from.
my domestic kitchen.
Exactly.
I've got pomegranate splats all over the place. I was like, batch cooking you cannot do on a domestic stove.
Your oven is not enough to get.
No. Cooling, huh?
Cooling, that's it. That's something
you
that
cook a curry in 50-60 liters. Try to put that in your fridge.
But not just that, but also make sure the fridge cools fast enough.
Exactly.
So maybe you can put it in different pots and pans, and it can kind of work.
At some point we had a basement lined with a load of stuff, and I remember I used to cook things, and then there was another friend of ours, he had his own he had a vacuum packing machine, which was a revolution for me. I was like, what is this thing? So
Small side note, before we started the business, we actually never ever worked in horeca ourselves, so we had no professional kitchen experience whatsoever.
Yeah, but she's Indian. It's fine.
Voilà, there you go.
At least when it comes to preparing big batches. But then there's everything else that goes with it, and that's usually the tricky part.
I didn't even know that you could buy pre-peeled onions or
Even chopped.
even pre-chopped onions. I was just like, I would buy like those 10-kilo bags and just be there like peeling. And if anybody that knows how much onion goes in a curry base, it's insane how much we peeled. Ginger,
That were the early
garlic.
days, coming home from work and straight into
prep.
And same, doing a full festival on the weekend, bringing the caravan back, parking it somehow, and I didn't even know how to do that. And then you were still at the festival. I'd have to bring.
So you were moving that trailer back like Austin Powers in that movie where he tries to turn the car in
it
the
was
tunnel.
always I remember that time I had to leave from Ostend and I had to drive back. I was like, I don't know, I'm going to do this. And then once I parked up the barbecue truck and the truck just like unclipped itself on the back and flung like that, I was like, luckily there was like a bunch of firemen there that just helped me clip it back on. I was like, so there's definitely been a few rogue moments where we just thought, what the hell am I doing here? Yeah.
But those are fun to tell in a podcast later on.
Later on. Exactly.
Great memories made, and traumatic at the time, but
Exactly. I mean, good stories usually, they don't just pass by.
No. But I have to say, like moments like this, also credit to my dad because my parents used to have a grocery store, and newsagents and off-license kind of thing. And then when they had that, we'd always have to drive the big van to go to the cash and carry. And my dad would make us drive it, so I'd just be like, I don't want to drive this. I don't want to be like, come on, get in there, you're going to drive. And then we sat next to me, and I was like, But so we were used to also driving some big vehicles and so on in the end. So it's just kind of getting used to it and building the confidence in that.
Exactly. So now she just blindfolds and backs up the trailers easily. No biggie.
I won't say anything.
But the first trailer had to retire, didn't it? That was something that we had to. It was paying for. She'd done enough mileage, and we were like, okay, we have to park her up, and it was a pity because she's so beautifully painted.
Well, so back to that prep kitchen that we all of a sudden needed, and we started renting something, and then you're like, okay, now we have this kitchen that we only use just for mise en place for a festival. The stuff stays here, and then sometimes you would come back with leftovers. In the beginning, all your friends are queuing up for those leftovers, but if it's week after week, they're like, okay, thanks, we had enough. And there was a certain moment there where we went to the homeless shelter in Antwerp, and even there, they have to really plan it in. They wouldn't accept the leftover food.
But the students that worked with us, they used to do this thing where you can give away or sell some foods or whatever. And so they were like, okay, then I was like, you guys take it.
But that just made us think like, okay, we have to organize ourselves better, and maybe it would come in handy if we would have a restaurant that's open every day, because if there's any leftovers that could be eaten the day after, why not?
That's the best thing about Indian food. It can taste delicious, even better
the next day.
Lady, listen up. We have a thing called stoofvlees. It's always better the next day.
Exactly. So it's a similar, exactly the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. Because I'm not sure if that book is here or I've put it elsewhere. But there's a book by Harold McGee, and he explains how and why that happens when you let something stand for a day, that the flavors improve. And
sure.
definitely happens with stoofvlees, but I can believe with all the stews and curries in India, same thing. I mean, it's also a thing in Mexico, by the way. In Puyol, for example, the restaurant of Enrique Olvera, they have a mole that's been going by now, I think, for 1,000 days. Basically, they just add the leftover mole from today to the batch of yesterday, and it just keeps doing
just
eternally.
Layer on layer.
And it just adds so much complexity. The dish is basically the old mole and the new mole. That's the dish in the restaurant. But the flavor profile is completely different. I went a couple of years ago, and then they were at day 300 something.
Nice.
It was amazing. It got such a depth and richness. It's like aging spirits as well. Some of the older aged spirits have complexity and depth and character, and then you blend it with something else, and
That's one of the main things that I only tell when anybody's cooking with me. I'm like, always scrape the sides and put it back in. Like, scrape the sides. That's not the bit to leave. That's like the stuff that's got like condensed and it's got most of the flavour in it. Just scrape the sides and blend it back in.
yeah. Flavor.
Yeah,
Layers.
for sure.
Oh, love it. But so then that idea was like, okay, we're struggling a bit, but let's think how we can improve our struggles so we do less of that. And so you start a bigger struggle by opening a restaurant, basically.
True that. Yeah. Well, I started just driving around. We said, okay, another goal. We were just thinking, like, what if we find the perfect place for us? What would it be? Big terrace for sure, because we love the outdoors. Big open windows. And then only shortly after, I think, we drove past the Troonplaats, and there was a place for rent. Tiny little
We're like,
restaurant.
yeah, that's great. Like, I mean, no idea. Yeah, we can just cook it just like we did a food truck. It's fine. It's bigger than the food truck. Okay.
That's it. Big
There's so
terrace.
much space for it.
Yeah.
We thought.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then we took the lease, and but we took it very slowly, because then I think that's when I resigned. Then Guido also joined us, and we took our time designing the whole building.
6 months.
6 months. Wow. And I remember we had posters all over the windows, coming soon. Mission Masala, that was the name.
And we remember when we were in Holland, somewhere, we'd always see who built the trucks, who'd done these. So we were just at a festival, we were just about to leave, and someone had this like amazing wooden construction. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was a bike. I think it was a Fritz bike, and something. We're like, wow, this is cool. Who built it? And there was a little thing on the side, and it had Valentin Hutte. We were like, okay, we'll contact him. So yeah, it was a guy that was used to building food trucks and things like that, and had that nice kind of rough finish, not completely polished, and you know, and
the materials we wanted to use.
Yeah.
Wood and golfplat and container.
And then he came and did the restaurant as well. And yeah, from mood board to putting together a menu, we were like, yeah, we got a restaurant. And then I think a friend of ours, a very good friend, Toon de Bok, passed by. I was like, hey guys, how's it going? Are you excited? And he was like,
Before opening,
yeah, you excited? So how are you going to serve? And we were like, just from the kitchen. He's like, yeah, but what are you going to do when someone in? And we're like, yeah, just when an order comes. And then he was like, guys, oh gosh, I think, if
he saved us.
I think Ton back at the time was still working for Jean sur Mer.
Jean sur Mer, yeah. It was a similar time.
But
and I think
he's a well-established chef and has a lot of experience.
For sure.
But also like-minded, you know, super interested, like, what's this? And, you know, having a taste and just curious by nature, and also triggered by smell, taste, senses. So we have a very similar thing. If we ever sit and talk about food or where we ate or what we drank, and it's just, it's a very
our personalities also matched.
So he's great humor as well. So
he just happened to stop by because he wanted to catch up with you guys.
Curious.
If that wouldn't have happened,
you a lesson.
If that wouldn't have happened, I'm quite sure we wouldn't be here today.
So, and it was winter, so it was downtime for him, and he was like, I think he just volunteered himself. He's like, guys, I've got a few weeks. I don't have a project. I'm going to come and we're like, okay, sure. And then he was the one that was like, okay, this is your MEP list. I'm like, what's a MEP list? And so, he said, okay, this is going to be. And then he divided the work by stations. I was like, stations? What do you mean? So he's like, yeah, the fryer, the barbecue, the this. And then your fridges have to be like that. The sauce bottles are here. And I was like, okay, because I mean, coming from like each truck's just doing 3 to 4 dishes each, it was pretty easy. He said, now what if everybody orders everything at the same time? How are you going to do it? We're like,
good question. Good question.
So then,
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay, when you're going to prepare it, like, wait, the drinks are going to be ready, then you're going to do this, and we're like, oh, okay. So he really switched things up for us and just opened our eyes, and I think if he wouldn't, he definitely, if he wouldn't have been there, I don't think we would have had the successful.
We'd have survived the first month.
You guys would have drowned in those first couple of days.
Yeah, for sure.
And, there's only that first occasion to have a good first impression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was, a lot of credit for Ton for that one.
It helps when you have a good network.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and actually network, but also like contacts, and that's something that we are forever grateful for, and we will always share with anyone in our industry. I think if you don't open things, hey, you need help with this, well, you can contact this person, or if you haven't got that for that, we'll do that. Or if you need to talk to us about something, I mean, we had a lot of guidance from another, like for example, Lynn and David from Camino. That was our favorite restaurant, and also one of the first restaurants bringing Asian cuisine. It was great, and also they're very passionate. They also set the bar quite high. Before we took the place in Troenplaats, we were going to maybe take one of their the place that they were selling or get moving from before they moved to the restaurant, and we invited them to come and check out. And the advice that they gave, and Lynn's she has a very strong business acumen as well, so she coached us a lot.
More tables, more seats. Come on, you got to do it.
Turn them over. You're going to do it like this, and we were like, okay. Anything she said, it's like, yep. Lynn said. So I think we really value the input that we got.
But then at the end of the day, you still have to do it, and it's probably been a bit of trial and error as well. Yeah. I mean, you have guidance and you have people explaining how to do it, but it still needs to be done. And I'm pretty sure, just like every start, there's been rocky moments.
Yeah,
like
sure.
What do you remember as from starting up? Doors go open. How did that feel? Like, okay, now we have our restaurant. People are coming in. Wow.
Me running the bar for the first time ever. Shaking cocktails, not having a clue what exactly I was doing, and then would one of the shakers slip out of my hand, fly over the counter right onto this lady's purse and clothes, and
it was it was whiskey sour, so it was like an egg white just and into
stuff like
that.
that.
Sat at the bar, front row seats.
It's a good story though. Nowadays,
again afterwards,
probably dying in the moment. But.
Well, we at home on your way out. There's a big mirror, and there is a note on that mirror. It says, "If you put your back into it."
I can't remember what it says. You can do it if you put your back into it, and that was it. Just
it's like the hip-hop song.
But it's true. Like, I think something we learned. Like, I must admit, I've always been super lazy. I'm super lazy, and I was always just DJing and coming home wasted and
sleeping in the day,
watching footy. And just eating.
Sounds like a good DJ.
That was good life for sure. But and then you start your business because it wasn't a business, like Pavan said. It was just a hobby. But then we started to realize, okay, it is a business. And I think her background, like parents, always been working super hard. And she gave me a few kicks.
They set the bar quite high when it comes to achievement. It's often that you'd come home. I think like many Asian parents, you come home and be like, I did this, and they're like, just that? Like it's kind of like at your age, and I was like, oh gosh, all right. So I'm used to not getting like a. And your parents are like complete opposite. They'd just be like, oh wow. They'll just always praise everything along the way. But I think it's a different push that I used to get.
But then she passed it on to me.
I mean, you either follow or you fall off. At a certain point, you surround yourself with people that you want to be with, and so you're gonna mirror in a way those kind of people. So if you're with somebody that has a strong work ethic, you either are going to catch up, or
that note on the door, you can do it if you put it back. It's from my friend. Like I've always told him, like, if I'm down and if I'm exhausted, I'm not feeling great, I need actually someone to tell me, not to say, oh, you're going to be all right, because that doesn't work with me. Like, that isn't what I'm used to growing up. I need someone to say, get up, come on, you can do this, like, keep doing it. And so I'm like, just tell me I can do it, so I can believe I can. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I need.
And next to that, one of the TV shows we used to watch back in the day,
The Apprentice.
You're fired.
You're fired.
But
exactly.
it was a British one. But now, of course, the show's a bit dated. But in the original,
that was 10 years ago when we were watching it. And still nowadays, if we have a problem or there's something not going the way we want it to go, then she would always say, like, how would Sir Alan...
What would Sir Alan do?
Yeah.
Come on, let's think. What would Sir Alan do now? And that's it. Like, let's
Well, put your business mind.
It's also what my mum always said. She says, like, don't get stuck on the problem. If there's a problem, you're not solution oriented. Like, you have to think you're a problem solver. She said, now you have to think, okay, one day it'll be the oven, another day it'll be maybe staff, maybe it'll be something will break down. You just have to think what can I do to fix this? What can I do to that? And then it's just, I think that's some drive that we have.
And sometimes when you're not sure, just try.
Exactly.
And sometimes that won't work, but you'll figure out something else. But if you don't even try, you're not even going to get to different solutions.
I heard something yesterday, and it was something about like, if you're going to miss the bus, at least miss it running for it or something like that.
I fucking love you saying this because I just said that to a couple of people the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just heard
if
it. I was
you're
like,
going to
that's
miss
brilliant.
the bus, at least miss the
Make sure
bus running.
Exactly. So you've got to try it. I'm like, okay, that's like in my head now. Yeah, I think it's a perfect...
Unless, of course, you're already in Belgium, you already see the next bus pull up because the first one is that late.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that kind of philosophy, like, you can't... We've had a lot of challenges on the way. I mean, I think, obvious for the hospitality industry is being COVID and closing and opening and reopening, opening with regulations, closing again, trying to motivate an army to try and get back into work mode. And then, the shift of kitchen staff. Brexit was a big bummer for us because all of my spices came from the UK. And so then trying to resource a whole, all your ingredients, there was no way. And then I had to find alternate, like black market spices that were coming in through Germany and things like that because because of Brexit. And
that was a real challenge.
I mean, our menu is based on all of that, and then all of a sudden you have to
the doors closed.
Doors closed, and
in the beginning it wasn't quite sure what was going on there. So for a long time it just flowed in and kept flowing in, but then everybody started shutting those doors and excises and taxes and shipping became super expensive.
I remember just driving over to England at some point and thinking, I need like chaat masala, I need some degi mirch, and what I'm going to do. And I just loaded my car up and then put my suitcases on top. I was like, what was I going to do? Just, and then and come through.
Officers in Dover opening that trunk, smelling like all these spices go like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not drugs, and I'm like, but it was like that. So that's the challenges we've had, like trying to bring spices into the country so we can keep the restaurants open.
So you can add spice smuggler to your resume.
Exactly,
That's actually pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But once you guys
not when the mango chutney is all poured into the back of the trunk and
many stories about that as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you know Julie from Think Tomato, but she has a story of driving off with an open trunk and spilling tomato sauce all over the highway.
Yeah.
But try that with mango chutney.
I basically glued my spare wheel at the time. You couldn't open it back up. Tried to put hot water, and it sealed the thing by the time I got to it. So I didn't have a spare. They had to like open it with a crowbar, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really solid mango chutney.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, special those kind of accidents. But at the same time, you've had these kind of issues. But you also had, pretty much from the get-go, you were awarded with.
Well,
I'm not sure which one was the first, to be honest, but
the Leaders
you did
Club.
quite a few.
Yeah, I think the first one was Leaders Club Concept Awards, followed by Venues Awards.
But in that same night, we had like some kind of national. We won for Belgium, and then they rolled over for the European, and we got that as well. So we just walked away with like these
just
big ass
full of awards.
Like, that was great for our
Still not knowing what
ego.
exactly we were doing there.
Taking pictures with our big gold leaves. And
I think it's before we opened. I remember going to one of those. I don't know. Can't remember what exactly it was. It was in Bruges, actually, in an old train station or old train factory. Something about Horeca, and they were showing coffee bars all around the world. Again, I'm talking 10 years ago, and they showed a coffee bar in Berlin, one in New York, one in Cape Town, and they all looked the same, exactly the same. So they were all white, brown furniture, and that's when, in my head, it said, okay, we have to do things differently, for sure. And again, if you go to India, all you see is color. So for us, it was obvious, okay, color, let's bring the vibe of India to the restaurant. That means make it look shabby, make it look
A shanty, a little
voila.
shack.
So I started collecting all the props. Like every time we travel, I find an old suitcase or
It's like there's another box that's arrived, Tim. What's it from? You open it up and it's like an Indian post box. I'm like, where are you going to put this? Yeah.
so, and that kind of made the Mission Masala vibe, I guess. And
So you really went deep into eBay.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, vintage shops,
Yeah.
and you found a collector in England that
One in
brings
Scotland,
stuff over,
actually,
Scotland, and yeah.
the few in Holland. But then also we would travel, and or if we know people going to India, I would beg them, please bring something.
Remember that street sign? Just
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it. Get it.
Just get the
Yeah.
suitcase. We'll pay the extra. Just bring
Somebody
whatever.
brought old phones. They're now in
Telephone boxes, yeah.
toilets in
Bombay barbecue.
on the barbecue,
yeah.
stuff like that. All the posters.
It is really nice when you're walking through the restaurant and we know what came from where and what the memories are. Like, for example, the Kitchen of Ghent was in Bombay. It was a place called Tasty Food Corner. It was these two young guys and they were just thinking, and the sign was beautiful. We took a picture of it and we just did, we just like, okay, that's our kitchen in Ghent. Or next to it, you've got the famous pickle, what is it, the pickle restaurant, no, pickle
Jaipur.
shop in Jaipur. Jaipur's famous for preserving, and there's one pickle family that's been making their recipes for years and have a beautiful sign of that. So we're like, copy that. Okay, Valentine, he cut all the wood out. Another guy hands painted everything for us with the hand painting, and yeah, in the end, we ended up with a very similar thing. So it's nice that we walk through and we see all the stories of our trips, basically, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on top of that, we were probably one of the first ones in Belgium to bring Indian food to like the masses. I'd say to make it more.
What I feel like
Cultural.
is the difference between all the small Indian restaurants that exist throughout the country is that they just open and they serve food.
Yeah.
No.
But you deliver an experience.
Yeah.
People come in
Yeah.
and they have a vibe. They see, wow, it's different. This makes me, even if you've never been to India, you kind of feel like this must be what India is like.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because obviously big country, many differences. But it gives an impression and it gives you the feeling that you're there. You get a relaxed vibe. And to be honest, the best Indian here in town is basically he took over frituur, put in a tandoor, and changed nothing. You're sitting on plastic seats, and it's great. The food's amazing.
Yeah.
But you don't take your date there.
Yeah.
You don't go out for a date night. You don't go out with your wife there. You go there because you grab the food because it's so good, and then you eat it from the plastic or the aluminum tin.
Yeah.
It's different,
I
and that's definitely
we
not
have the
something
same
you have.
when we go to like Chinatown in Antwerp. I love it. We're there for the food, not necessarily for the setting, but for us it's always like the drinks. I would like to have a nice drink that goes with the food and so there's full experience, and then
and just the mango lassi on the menu is not enough.
no, not at all, no.
Or the kingfisher.
Yeah.
That also kind of came back from monthly London trips, I would say, because there was a place, the Rum Kitchen, focusing on Jamaican food and doing something that we really adored. Like the way they brought Jamaican food was exactly how we wanted to present the Indian food, and then that also came with a lot of cocktails, of course.
Rum. No rum. Was it no rain, no rum, or something like? I can't remember what the thing was.
But also in England, as well as in America, the service next level to what we were used to here in Belgium, I would say.
Yeah, really be hosted, to get welcomed, to even ask how your day is, and like, I'm so-and-so, I'm going to take care of you today. You're like, oh, thank you.
Hospitality.
The hospitality, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
more focused on the details of hospitality.
Yeah. And for me, it's also like an extension of Indian hospitality, because your door is always open as an Indian. Anybody that comes to your house never leaves without eating. And this kind of thing. So that's something when we're talking to our teams and telling them a little bit about the experience, we also talk about.
It's so weird that you say this, because to me, a lot of the Indian restaurants that are not yours are very transactional.
Yeah.
You go there for the food, you pay for the food, you leave.
Yeah, yeah. True, yeah, I guess so. But I think
I do feel it's becoming more popular again, that kind of eating out. Huh? See now, for example, Freddy Eats World in Antwerp, how he's going to these low-key places and they gain popularity. People just go indeed for the food and the food alone. I think it's...
Yeah, but hospitality is still so nice too. Sometimes,
absolutely.
The food alone is good, but it's not enough. And you, as
For
I
date
said,
night.
you want to bring your date somewhere.
I
You want
remember
to spend a good evening sometimes in good company. And it doesn't work in the other style of places. You don't sit there, eat your night away and have good conversation with friends when you feel it's a cold environment. You just eat and you leave.
True.
I think sometimes...
And nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Not at all. But I think one of the funniest experiences when we first opened the Antwerp restaurant is when I told everybody when someone leaves, we all have to say bye. When everybody enters, you have to say. So you'd see them enter. It's a tiny restaurant. They'd enter and everyone would be like, "Hello," and you just see them all just be like, "Oh," they're all saying hi to us, hi. And then before they'd leave, it'd all be like, "Thank you, bye, see you." And then they were just like this. But that impression in the end. Okay, they were a little bit startled at the beginning, but in the end, that was what they came back for, because they were like, sometimes things go wrong with food. Things go wrong during service. It's absolutely normal. And the reviews they always read back, amazing staff. This went wrong, but they made this possible, or so it's all about being transparent in that sense and just making sure, yes, something went wrong, but we still want you to have a good time and we're going to try and fix it and we're going to make you come back.
You can have the best food in the world, but with a shitty service, you're not going to remember the food.
Exactly,
and you can have okay food with great service, and you're still going to remember the restaurant.
Exactly,
and that's so true.
Of course, it's a little bit a challenge when you start to grow and to keep that same vibe, of course, because ourselves, we're not there anymore in it's impossible to be in every restaurant every night. So
to make sure and remind everybody,
yes,
that's how we talk to our guests. This is what we're going to do.
This is how we see it. So.
In the end, our staff will also benefit from it shows in your tips how nice you are as well. But I think often I did a couple of shifts again recently back in one of our restaurants, and you just saw. I think the guest was just like, "Are you the owner?" I was like, "Yeah." They were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, how can you tell?" And they were like, "Yeah, I'm from the service." And I was like, "Yeah," explaining everything and pitching everything that I could.
It's about training your staff to really immerse in the mentality. And it's not always an easy thing. Not everybody is a good fit.
No.
But you really have to make sure that they're with that mentality through and through to give that similar service.
They have to be motivated in the same way you are, and when they see how passionate you are and how you're doing it, that motivates them. So that's what I think what Tim is saying, like you can train them as a lot, but then the motivation comes through. It's more emotion, and it has to be something passionate that you need to see and feel, and it works both ways, like sometimes we do have difficult customers, and I think like expectations are sometimes set a little bit far and beyond, and if you've had a busy evening and you see, okay, how are we going to turn this guest's experience around? And I always find it, and I'm always like, okay, this is the harder ones that are meant to be the challenge, so take that challenge on and you're going to make sure they're going to leave with a smile whether they like it or not, that kind of mentality. So I try and put that with our teams as well, to say, okay,
then I think it's very curious to me that you have this mentality about hospitality, not having a transactional exchange with your customer for food, and you open a ghost kitchen.
That's just,
well, we had no choice. When we opened our Gent restaurant, I think 2 weeks after the opening, there was COVID knocking on our door, and all of a sudden we were forced to close again. And of course we were first in a shock, but then there was
the whole country. You're not
but you just invested all your money, everything you had in a new place, and then there was Sir Alan in the back of our heads. Are you gonna fix it? What are you
And
going
we
to do
had
about
one
it?
week at home where like my house was super clean. I'd cleared everything out. I think it was the most organized. We'd cooked a meal every
The
single
sourdough
day.
starter is just, just there
exactly,
like
yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah,
And
we had like
kombucha
a
and the
nice
kimchi and-
aperitif. The weather was great. It was like a very nice warm spring. So I think we had 1 week of that, but of course we couldn't sit still for long. So yeah, but prior to this, we'd always had like Uber Eats, Deliveroo, takeout. We had all of them knocking, saying, "Hey, would you want to do?" Would you like to join us, and can we do takeout? And we were a little bit snobby at that. We were like, our food's not going to travel well. We don't know if we put it in a box, if we give it to you, where is it going to end up? And we can't,
It's not the experience that we want to bring.
Yeah, and we were worried about that. So then I think in that week, at the end of the week, Tim's like, okay, we have to do something. We literally just did a test. So we put things in boxes. We kept them for 5-10 minutes, moved them around, and then just like the stuff that lasted the longest and the best, we were like, okay, then we can offer that on takeout. So then we did a few things like that, and then we're like, okay, no, the packaging has to change for that. That's not good. We can't like wrap up or seal tight the fried chicken because it's going to be it's sweating by the time it arrives. So yeah, we had a few trials to see how warm it keeps, the state that it stays in, and how it tastes.
Yeah, because you guys were all focused on experience.
Yeah.
But just like the aluminum tins
Yeah.
were not good enough
Not at all.
to create that experience at home.
No. Yeah. So we were again also conscious of that, and then we had these little brown recycled or recyclables and packaging and so on. And then on top of that, we were like, okay, we have to put like stickers in and make sure that everyone gets a nice napkin. You get a nice branded bag. But I mean, that all came later to say, okay, how can people experience this really at home?
While we try to save our restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a whole team of, I think, students at that time that didn't have really a social life. So this, at some point, we set up we used our experience as food trucks and set up the restaurants in food truck mode. And the people who were coming, the drivers were the riders. They were like the guests at the customers. So we'd get tickets, pack everything up. We had curries, rice, like you normally do in a festival. Someone doing the garnishes, sealing, tick, tick, tick. Everything's in there. Pass it on. So we had this almost something that we'd already done at that point. And I think.
Back to your roots, but in a fixed location rather than on four wheels.
And the audience was ready for it, because at the time also there was none of the big chains like your quick McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza, whatever it is, all Domino's. No one was operating at all. So everybody was just ready to like eat something that they didn't have to cook themselves. And I think we got a moment where we had to do put lines, make people queue, and the distancing that they had to do. I mean,
put stewards out.
We had put stewards out. There was like it was coriander and rice confetti. The speed that was flying out, like next rice cooker. Like I think we were just And
then we realized again the practical issues that came with it. All of a sudden, okay, from 60 liters going to 600 liters in a week of one curry. That means all of a sudden, and all these empty cans, the tomato cans, where are you going to put them? Then all of a sudden that blue bag became a pile of blue bags, and the top one was tipped over, so all the tomato juice would still run down, and so like, cooling again. So then you start to realize, okay.
Yeah, if you're working for X amount of covers and you scale quickly, then
exactly.
How are you going to do it?
Yeah. So
we were making 1,500 or 1,600 samosas in a week. So if you know what that means to first make the dough, roll it out, hand stuff and hand fold every one of them, you have to it was not just one thing that we were making. We had to make like lots of everything again and again, and that was another moment where we were like, okay, let's rethink this one a little bit.
But then the restaurants were allowed to open again, and I think we tried for 10 minutes to combine the takeaway with the restaurant service, and immediately said no. But then Uber Eats came back to us knocking on, like, please guys, can you continue? Like, we don't know how. We don't have
made good money off it.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had our prep kitchen, and there was a stock room in the front / office threw everything out, moved it all out, and turned it into our takeaway kitchen. So we could be operational again on takeaway. I think then the second lockdown hit us.
Yeah.
We got approached by Kumo Kitchens in Brussels. They invited us, like, look, we have a spot left. Why don't you open your dark kitchen? And that was when dark kitchens became not popular, but the first time we heard about it.
I was surprised when I moved to Belgium at how little, and living in a city, that you couldn't just order and get food to your door. It was really a thing that,
just the kebabs and the pizzas.
But just to order and it's there. I'm like, it was it's such a basic thing that, it took so long to maybe pick up speed. But now it's just expected that you can.
And that's also how we made it to the news again, because they came and filmed us, like, dark kitchen. What's a dark kitchen? Entrepreneurs being creative. And we just felt like, no, we have to, and just to survive and to move on. And then I think we realized, like, okay, it's something we actually enjoy doing. It's a lot more easy than running a restaurant, because at the end of the night, there's a lot less dishwash. If your kitchen closes, 10 minutes later, everybody's gone. So I said, okay, maybe we should move on. And that's how Curry Club was born. Yeah. So that's our now kind of takeaway / kiosk concept that we now also have in Wolf in Antwerp. And soon in more locations. So, voilà. We just, without really thinking about it or planning, it just happened and
So I don't think you can say without thinking about it, because it feels like once you made the step, you really thought it through. Once
we were in troubleshoot mode.
Exactly. Once you made the decision, like, hey, this is how we're going to do it, you're like, okay, so how can we do this the most efficient way?
No.
Is that the good way to describe it?
I guess, efficiency was probably one of the things that we was like, how can we simplify it, we complicate things so much for ourselves. So at some point, first we'll complicate it all, and then we'll be like, okay, how do we simplify this? Is a mess. How are we going to simplify it? So that was one of those moments. We're like, okay, let's first troubleshoot. At this stage, it's already changed a lot. It's no longer a hobby. We have a responsibility of a team of staff. We have a responsibility of people who are relying on us for their income, So this is something that we felt a lot of pressure on at that time. It wasn't just us, and it wasn't, at the time we didn't have our daughter, so it was literally just us, but the pressure that we had to try and make sure that our teams were going to have work, that's something that also drove a little bit of the thing.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a food truck that you could park up for a couple of months either.
No, not at all. Yeah, exactly. Like, how are we going to fix this one? So, I think that was, thought through for sure. And also, actually, Tim's super... There's one of us that's a little bit more... I don't think things through. Whereas Tim is someone who'll always anticipate that something might go wrong, what could go wrong. And because of his stressiness and the fact that he anticipates everything, he's always one that's kind of ready when things do go wrong, because he's like, I've thought about that already.
Pretty sure he didn't think about the world shutting down, but...
No, not at all.
Nobody expected that, did they?
But we anticipated fast, and for us, financially, or just business-wise, it was a good period, I would say. Because it made us think in different ways, and... Voilà, we moved on. Yeah.
But I think problem solving is also creativity. Creativity doesn't just show in putting colors or designing clothes or even making music.
To be honest, I started to enjoy troubleshooting and solving. Just all of a sudden,
problems.
But don't worry, he's been thinking about it. He's got it covered. But then still, when the world reopened, more awards kept coming in.
That's after we opened Bombay Barbecue.
Yeah, that was nice.
We went bigger and bolder in Brussels with our Bombay Barbecue restaurant near Flagey. And it took us a very long time to find that third location. And we were very picky, and I'm very happy we were very picky. And we eventually saw this nice corner building, and together with the agent who was showing us around Brussels, we saw it and was like, that's it. And I said, forget about it.
You're not going to get it. You're
Nope.
not going to get it.
The landlord, so many people tried, the landlord, no chance. Okay, all right, we walk on.
Don't worry, he's thought about it.
No, that same night, I just reached out to the agent again and said, look,
Get us an appointment.
get us an appointment. That's all you have to do. And he did. I think a couple of days later, we sat in his office, or the owner's office, and he gave
At
us
this
a
stage,
very...
I'm heavily pregnant, and Tim's like, we're going to Brussels. I'm like, we're not. He said, you've got to come. This is really important. I was like, we're not going. He's like, no, you have to. And I was like, okay.
So you
I
were the sympathy card.
I had to I think so. Yeah. So yeah, we ended up in his office. Shoes off, very particular. We had to take our shoes off, a white floor, and
And that was the landlord's office.
That's the
then?
landlord's
the
office.
landlord's
Okay,
office,
okay.
Yeah.
We call him the mayor of Flagey. He basically has
Quite some properties.
Yeah, it's quite, and definitely.
But
not.
he gave us a hard time. Huh? I think it took us 1 year to convince him of leasing it out to us.
It's impressive that some people can just leave property
Yeah.
unattended.
Yeah. And he wanted to be sure he had the right tenants, and he made us come to his office 6 o'clock in the morning one time. Just
Yeah,
in
it was
Brussels.
some kind of
We live in Antwerp, so we had to be 6 a.m. in his office, and he was just testing us. And again, we just did it. We pushed through, and that's how we achieved
But
signing
we
the.
also we pitched a whole concept. So we had to pitch what it would look like, how many hours a day we would be open, what the team setup was, and just almost like a business plan. It was there, and then this will be here. Then we'll have the takeaway kitchen on the side. It's going to be, and it was just I think.
And it's like, okay,
who's going to do it?
meeting finished. See you in a couple of weeks, and then we came back, and then blah blah. But we wanted that building so badly because it had straight away a lot of character on its own. That's how we saw Mission Masala or Bombay Barbecue. By the way, that's Bombay Barbecue came in as a restaurant name because he insisted that the restaurant would have a unique name. He said straight away, I don't want a chain. And also we felt
Me
a
and
bit
Guido were like, yes, because we didn't want it to be
Chain.
another Mission Masala. People associate it, the same name again. It gets associated, and all of a sudden you're a chain. But we're like,
we don't feel like a chain still.
Yeah,
I still like in all the restaurants we try to have different items on the menu.
Its own
and-
personality as well, I feel like.
Yeah, you'll see our handwriting going through it, but then in the end, but when we opened Ghent, everyone's like, yeah. Someone said that to me once. Oh, you're a chain. And I was like, no, we're not. We're just a small family business. But not that. Yeah, I don't have anything against chains. I think it's really hard to get that level of consistency and to
Trust
do
me,
it like.
it's more clever.
Yeah. But then in the end, when he said that with Bob thing, we're like, okay, perfect. Let's call it Bombay Barbecue, and we'll give it the name that it should have because we wanted the tandoors in there, we wanted the big ovens, and a little bit more about smoke and grilling. But that place was like a cave, wasn't it?
And then the energy crisis came.
Oh yeah, that was another one.
And then the indexation on the
From the moment when we signed to the moment,
Thought about it.
from the moment
Still
we signed
thinking
to the
about
point
it.
of the budget,
Yeah.
that changed. The budget of the project changed a lot.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little thing.
to be honest, one of my biggest frustrations nowadays is still how it's still so tough. It's so tough in Belgium, especially when it comes to, especially after that in last indexation that was hitting the whole industry very badly, I think. And
So the classic goes: you do 30% on your product, you do 30% on your wages, and all of a sudden both product and both wages all went up to 45%.
yes,
Absolutely.
leaving us with
Absolutely.
peanuts. Yeah. So then,
Troubleshoot mode.
well, and frustration.
Yeah.
Because every time we travel, and we recently went to back to London with our team also, and there was Black Pig on Borough Market, amazing food stand.
People queuing up for the
Yes.
pies there.
Yeah.
So just across the street, like a line that doesn't seem to end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're like, I want a sausage now, but
Apparently they do 2,000 buns daily.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you find that in?
The internet told me.
But when you do see the whole team in there, it's amazing. There's just like, I think there's one man opening a bag. There's another one just
8 people.
heating the thing. There was, they lined up 8 people in a little tent, and one thing per operation.
I mean, that's like all over Borough Market that I find it impressive how fast they can work and how they can serve so many people so efficiently.
Yeah.
The same with May, the same with the tacos at the corner.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
No.
The oyster shuckers, my God, did they
But-
work fast?
Yeah.
A part of that, the secret of and the how is staff, more staff. Simple as that. You cannot even imagine having 8 people working in your kitchen here. And if you want to, I sometimes think if you want to do Indian food properly, and you want to have our dream kitchen, our dream restaurant. Well, you would have you have your tandoor station, you have somebody making rotis or paratas, somebody on the curry station, adds on. So we have to compromise. We have to think of shortcuts sometimes. We have to come with solutions again.
And sometimes the shortcuts are small, like buying pre-cut onions.
Basically, yeah.
But seriously, like, it's would it be the same quality as if you cut the onions fresh? Not exactly, but it does save a lot of time and work, and
You have to
speeds
pick
everything
your-
up. Yeah, you got to pick your battles and the hills to die on.
Yeah, exactly. And also for us, it's always been about quality. So it's really, we try to, if it is taking a shortcut or do something, we have to say, okay, how are we compromising on quality? If we do compromise on quality a lot, then that's a big no, and then that's something we have to just suck up and just be like, okay, that we're not willing to let go of that. But yeah, it is quite a bit of back and forth to go with that, and then in the end,
And sometimes it's also testing because, especially in the kitchen, not every pre-cut onion is the same.
No,
there's grades to it. There's there's
when was
quality
it cut?
differences.
How long has the water been coming out of it, or these kind of things? And
Yeah, some suppliers have different machinery that keeps your onion fresh for longer, and it also reflects in the price.
Yeah. I think one of the kitchens I found when I walked through the fridges, I'd found like pre-popped pomegranate seeds. I was like, who's ordering who? And I came out with this thing, and I'm like, no, that's one thing we're not going to do. That you can the difference between that and so then
fresh.
I was like, let's take it off the thing. That no one's allowed to order that. Yeah, you have to pop them yourself. You know, it's a fresh garnish. It's something that you have to eat and bite into, and it has to explode in your mouth.
And not have to be soggy, slimy.
Yeah,
'cause sometimes,
exactly,
like the older they get, pre-popped.
Yeah, exactly. And they get like boozy. I'm like, nope. So yeah, it's things like that you have to keep checking and going through. But
And testing. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Interesting. Yeah. So now you guys can look back on a big career, and then TV starts knocking. They come ask you to be on Masterchef.
Yeah, again, one of these things where I was just like, someone had called the Antwerp restaurant, and they were like, someone asked for your number, can I give it? Or I gave it, and I was like, okay. They would want to ask for a TV thing or something, and I was like, yes, yes, I want to be on TV. And then, I sat down with Dennis, really nice guy, who's casting, and I had a little chat with him. Again, I was super excited, and I was like, yeah. I get on the set, and I'm like, because I saw the big M, and this is something like, if anybody's been watching Masterchef, you know what it means. Like, I grew up watching all the competitions, and Australia Masterchef is my favorite. We still watch, like, whether it's
absolutely 100% agreed.
It's hands down. It's like the level is something else, isn't it?
So the Australian one is super impressive.
Yeah.
But then I also like the MasterChef professionals in the UK.
Yes, that's another one.
So good.
Yeah. And then there's all of this stuff. It's just the techniques you see them doing, the cuisine. Australia I love because they always have European influence, they have American influence, and they have the Asian thing. So all of this together is just like the ultimate fusion cuisine that you'll get from these guys. And it's great to see how they put all the dishes together. over the last few years, you also start to see a lot more Indian and Sri Lankan chefs coming through, which is also really nice. So yeah, for me, it was amazing. And I get there and I'm like, okay.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, so it was really, it was humbling in many ways because I'm just cooking something that my mom's taught me. But same thing I explained to them when we did the masterclass for the curry. It was a curry masterclass. I explained to them, I said, look, my mum's taught me and my 3 other siblings the same recipe. Now, if you give the same recipe to all 4 of us, we're going to cook 4 different dishes to you. And that's what you were saying about the thing in the Korean expression of in the hand. So yeah, that was my thing for them to say, okay, just it's in your hands now, the same recipe and figure it out. But yeah, it was very humbling. I really enjoyed it. And
how much fun was it to then try everyone's creation?
it was really fun. It was just like, okay, can I be polite or do I have to be brutally honest? It was just like trying to figure out the middle ground. But they all gave everything, and it was really it was stressful for me to watch them because they were so stressed and they have such a small period of time, and I cook something that I've been cooking for years and it comes so naturally, and they've just been given this thing of like spices and so on, and so you could just saw them kind of like crumbling a little bit in between, but ambitious. But it was really sweet. It was nice to see them all trying to make the attempts and cook what they did. Yeah, it was nice.
And obviously we know who won that episode, so we're not going to rehash that, but it seems like a very fun experience to be part of. Does it give you a little bit taste for more?
I really enjoy teaching. That's something that I've always, actually, before the food trucks and with the thing, everyone used to ask me like, oh, where can I get good Indian from? Where can I get some good Indian? And I honestly, I didn't know, and I couldn't recommend something. So I just said, just come to my house, we'll cook. So I used to get together, we'd be a few people all together, and I said, okay, I'm going to cook, just take some notes, I'll tell you all the spices, just watch what I'm doing. Of course, it was alcohol fueled as well, so we had these really cozy nights at home where I would just show everybody how to cook, and that was really fun for me because I would give them the foundation of how to cook a curry, or whether it was rice or bhajis or any of this kind of stuff. I would cook, and you would see them making notes. I remember one guy, Nick, was picking the spices, and do you have any sellotape? He was taping them in his book so he could making notes. So yeah, that kind of thing was always fun. So a moment like that reminded me like I'd done like a full 360 somehow, from showing people in my kitchen to doing it on an amazing TV show. I really enjoyed it.
And in a way, you'll get to do it all over again. Maybe not in person, but through the medium of paper. Yeah. Because now there's a cookbook coming.
Exactly, yeah. So that was a whole other exciting thing. I think I had it stuck in my head for a very long time that I wanted to do. Actually, like we talked about, and everything's a little bit organic. We have the food trucks and everyone's like, where's a restaurant? Where's a restaurant? And now it's got to a point where someone's like, can you give me this recipe? Can you give me this recipe? Can you please share this recipe? I'm like, okay, I think it's time to start sharing some of the stuff that we do. I didn't give away too many major secrets, but at the same time, there's some really good, strong building blocks that hopefully give people the tools to kind of, feel confident enough to get used to the Indian spice box and experiment for themselves.
Yeah, because like when you look on the internet and you look at Indian spice markets, there's a lot of color, there's a lot of variety. Yeah. When we go to the supermarket, there's this one little sad yellow pot that says curry. And it's quite
I do like it though.
I
put it in all my soups. I put it
nostalgic.
in.
I grew up with it. You grew up with it. It's how my mom made curry, and that was chicken, some pineapple and bananas.
But when you first came to Belgium, you're like, what's this yellow thing in the butcher's counter? Like keep curry.
I'm like, what's keep curry? It was funny. That was okay. That's Belgians embracing cultural food. It's nice.
It's it's something that we've picked up from over the pond, just like our pickles is also an adaptation of piccalilli, which in itself is an adaptation of an Indian dish.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's we were influenced via to create something like that.
Exactly.
And it definitely the powder that we know as curry does not resemble any of the spice blends in Indian cuisine, but from zero on, how do you start? What's the best base to build a spice mix? How do you go about?
Well, I think what I've done in the book, I've just opened up a little. It opens with a pantry, and it's just telling you all the basics of everything that you need. I haven't gone into making everything too fussy of making a spice mix, purely for the reason that I just want everyone to first get used to combining the ingredients. So you've got a few shops where you can buy it from, and I've directed all the readers to go there. But at home, to make a garam masala, that's basically what you would make. Every kitchen that has their own, it's a garam masala. Garam means warm, masala just means spice mix. And they again vary from region to region. They would vary from household to household as well. It's all about slow, dry roasting whatever combination you put together, and making sure that they are the aromas are released, the oils of all the spices are released, and then once they've cooled down, you'll just blend them all together. So then I think that, whereas my mum, she uses a little bit more bay leaf and cumin. In the south, they'll be heavier on black pepper and mustard seeds. So there's different kind of levels that you will get in that. But in that garam masala, we never put turmeric. That's not the turmeric or the curry or whatever it is that comes later to add. That's in the color. But that dry mix of spices, that's also added at the end of a dish. So that will give it will stay on the top and it won't get bitter and these kind of things. But it's just about slow roasting.
And that's where it starts. And then there's a lot more secrets that you're open. Well, to us, they're secrets. To you, they're evident. But then there's a lot more, because yes, you have the classic dishes. I'm gonna presume it's mostly Punjabi cuisine that's in your book.
Not really, not really at all. I think what I've tried to do is rather than make an Indian cookbook, I've tried to make a Mission Masala cookbook. So like, what would Mission Masala do? The first chapters open up with a whole load of stuff that's just like making fresh pickles, the mayonnaises, the sauces, the chutneys, because this is what we love about Indian food. It's from the streets, or whether it's in a burger, it's all dripping with some kind of sauce, some kind of texture, some kind of topping. So this is something that you need in every single part of your food, and I hope that's something that whoever buys a book and cooks from, that they will use that and then use them not only on Indian food, that they will use them in their daily kitchen. So that's the whole kind of philosophy of Mission Masala, is like sauces, toppings, textures, and then we'll go on to dividing the sections a little bit between whether it's a curry, and then again the curry section isn't just curries. We love tacos, so there's like a taco in there. You go to the barbecue section, I give you the foundation of just the marinations, and then suggestions of what you can marinate, so people can start to build, mix and match, and maybe from each chapter they'll pick out different things and put them together. And same with the snacks as well. You've got a really good like fried section and some breads and so on as well. So yeah.
Like here, there's a couple of cookbooks. Yeah. What I like most about cookbooks is when they give you techniques, rather than a recipe.
Yeah.
Because you build from technique.
Exactly.
And then you blend that with knowledge and influences and flavors that you've picked up elsewhere. Yeah. But the technique is what then makes it exciting.
Exactly,
so I like that you put a focus on that. But there's a big difference in prepping for restaurants and ghost kitchens to making recipes for a couple of people. Have you had to test them all?
I have had to test them all.
That sounds like a terrible job for you.
Well, I have to go to the gym nearly every day to cope with it.
But it's also, I think I had to reduce even my domestic recipes to smaller batch. I was like 6 people, like so reducing them was quite tough. And then also it really matters what brand you buy some of the stuff. So for example, the gulab jamun are these little sticky donuts.
So good, good.
But if you, in the book I've mentioned the brand that I've used just purely because if we tried with some other ones, they're like solid hard. I mean, you can knock somebody out with them. So it's like, okay, this is not right. So like you said, it's really good just to have kind of experiment. So I don't know about you, but when I'm reading a cookbook, I often just skim and then I'll make a version of it, which is why I'm such a bad baker. I can't do any baking because I think that's more of a science. But it's reading stuff and saying, okay, I'll freestyle or I'll make something with that. Yeah,
that's why I like when a book focuses on techniques, because everything else I can figure out.
Yeah.
I think Indian cuisine is about technique anyway. I think it's a really complex kitchen if I may be honest. If you compare it to a lot of other Asian cuisines, and not to disrespect them, but if you want to cook a Thai curry, you go to your local Asian store and you get some Thai curry paste and coconut milk and some fish sauce.
And they can be just as good as if you made your version at home.
For sure.
So that's okay. You've got good basics of that. But
yeah,
we don't
I
have that
remember
equivalent.
in a restaurant I worked in, we had a coworker who had studied in Thailand, and she had for staff food she had made her whole curry paste from scratch, and that was great. But she could have just used the one from the store because that was just as good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was delicious.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong; it's super good. But it took her a lot of work that she could have saved by using that one. It was good enough.
Yeah, and I think with Indian cuisine specifically, we're not there yet with your ready bought products.
It's really balancing and playing around with the herbs and spices.
Yeah. And also adding things at the right time. So the curry masterclass it's a double page spread. Even before you get to the recipes, there's like step-by-step instructions. I've given every single thing. Like if anybody can master that and get that, I think they can cook anything. But it's all about patience and knowing when to add the next layer and when that layer is ready to add the next layer, because I think it's almost 10 steps that you have to add in there.
These are things that have come naturally to you because you grew up in an Indian kitchen. You've exported that to the restaurant. How difficult is it to stop, break it down what you're doing, and write it down logically in a how-to guide? Because I think that it feels more like a how-to guide than actual recipes, right?
Yeah, I think, but I'm pretty much a how-to person, and I do like to break things down a lot. And because I like to break things down a lot, I think it's annoying for you because you don't like to break them down to that kind of point, and maybe a little bit overly meticulous over these kind of things. But I think character-wise, it came to me naturally. So I think that was
That's a good fit.
But not necessarily like it's not necessarily even an Indian household, because if I think of my older sister will not follow those 10 steps. She will chuck everything in a pan, close the lid, come back, stir it, and it's fine. If I do that, I don't get the same flavour as her, so her hand is completely different. So that's why for me, I had to break everything down to make sure that, okay, I need somebody else to be able to feel good, especially if you're handing a recipe over to somebody. If you're cooking it yourself, it's fine, but you have to make sure that they're going to be able to follow and get it right, you know. So,
did he have to test your recipes to make sure they worked?
No.
Or friends?
We've had a few friends. I've had people in the team. I've had a few different people testing them in different kind of ways. But you didn't test anything, did you?
Important to know that
taste testing.
We're always
good
working on R&D in the restaurants, so I've got a lot of Indian food to try on weekly basis. I'm not complaining.
I'm not taking it as a complaint to him looking at you. But I'm just curious because, as I said, giving it to somebody that is not as familiar with it, it's always a bit of a gamble.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Then the response must have been very, very good.
I think, I think if you cook, right? If you're going to cook, if you pick up a cookbook for just aesthetics, it's something else. But if you really enjoy cooking, this is also something that comes from within you, and a little bit like, okay, I'm going to make this, and you kind of geek out on recipes at some point.
After a while, you understand techniques, and you understand when you're doing something right or very wrong, and why.
And I think a lot of the recipes I have broken them down, and I have made a lot of stuff simpler than it possibly would be. And it's not because I don't have faith in the people who will buy the books. I'm not dumbing them down. I just think I prefer that they get more familiar and associate themselves with the ingredients and with the cuisine. And then I think it's the same like when we first opened our restaurants. When we first opened the food truck, our curries were so mild. They were so kind of soft because the audience wasn't ready for them at the time. 10 years later, we're adding different levels of heat, different complexities of things. And we realised it's the same thing. And I wanted to use that same philosophy with the cookbook. This with me is, okay, you've eaten with us in our restaurants, you've picked up our food in festivals, you order in, and now I want to hand that over to you, to let you bring it into your kitchens and let you cook a little bit yourself. But I don't want to frighten anybody to be like, oh gosh, that's like, I'm not going to do that. I bought a book and it's got too many ingredients. So
right there, you can see a Gordon Ramsay book.
I've been looking at that.
If you give it to somebody who's not been in professional kitchens, then they'll be like, wow, the photography is great, but I'm never going to cook this.
I have to say, I am really nervous about that. That's the part that I'm like, oh gosh, I hope that everybody kind of like picks it up and it's easy for them to cook. Or
So the book's not out yet while we're recording. It's when is it going to drop?
25th of November. So it's just going to be just in time.
Right in time for the holidays.
Holiday season, exactly.
So everybody can warm their kitchen with some Indian Christmas food.
Exactly. Well, I think it's always fun.
And they know what to give to the beloved ones.
Yeah, exactly. But we always, I think it's quite nice to have a festive table with alternate dishes. It doesn't always have to be meat and 2 veg and so on. But I think it's a nice way to colour it.
Turkey, turnips, and pumpkins.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it'd be a nice way to, if anybody is brave enough to do an alternative festive table. That'd be great.
Even without the festive part of it, it's also usually somewhat of a time to slow down, and people usually take a bit more time to experiment in the kitchen because the time's there. That's a great it's a great moment.
But I also hope, like, for the summer they use a book because the barbecue section's quite fun as well to experiment with things. So
You can barbecue in winter.
Yeah. I mean, like all seasons. Also, a book for all seasons.
It's a book for all seasons. It's a guide for all seasons. So that's like the only part that makes you a little bit nervous about releasing that book. Then,
on how
like
I'm not next to you showing you how you're going to do that. Like that's the part where I'm like, if I'm leaving a bit like sending Uber Eats or curry to someone's house, I'm a bit nervous about like how is it going to end up when somebody else is doing it and I'm not next to them telling them.
I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Most people that I've spoken to in this podcast that have released books have always been overwhelmed by the response.
Oh.
So it's not going to be crickets. I don't think you should fear for that because regardless of everything, I feel like Mission Masala and even Bombay Barbecue Club, they have become love brands. People care about the brand and care about the restaurant in a way that they wouldn't have for, let's say, McDonald's.
It's nice to hear.
It's nice to hear. I was like, that's the first time I've heard it put like that.
You can also contest me on that one, but I feel like that's the response of your regulars.
Yeah.
There's always haters, of course. Never forget.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, for sure. But we're very grateful to see indeed.
I love bumping into somebody and they tell me what they ordered. Like we ordered last week and we had this and this and this, and I'm like, that's always nice to hear that what they picked up and what they order all the time. And my son really likes this, and my husband always want that, but I always want this, and those kind of conversations. Or we just had friends recently that said their parents came over and it's the first time they ate Mission Masala. I'm like, yes, I always love when there's someone who's just introduced it to somebody who doesn't already know it, and then I'm like, yes, there's still people who still have to try it and they still have to.
I think within generations, laterally, easy, down, easy, going a generation up is always the hardest part. But then, especially because I think us Belgians, we're very picky about spending money on food. We want to make sure that the money we spend is well spent.
Exactly.
Nothing is worse than spending money on a bad meal.
Yeah.
And so when you do convince people that have been very weary of trying new things, and the older they get, the worse it gets. When you do convince them somewhere and they love it, that's always a yes moment.
We had when you talk about that generation as well, I remember when we first started opening the restaurants, and this whole idea of sharing plates was a bit of a concept of like where like, oh, I don't get my own dish, and it was challenging. It was like even sitting with your parents and explaining that okay, they know from eating with us at home, but maybe they don't feel so comfortable sticking a fork in a plate in a plate where somebody else is going to stick the fork in, and it's like the whole idea of sharing was a strange thing.
Now we're getting to the point where the sharing concept is also getting criticized.
But to be honest, But I think
it's different.
It's the best way to try Indian food.
any food that you can have multiple flavors of,
Yeah.
and that you can just
It's just because we can't choose ourselves what to pick.
But also, I think why is it different for you guys is that you don't serve 3 things for a table of 4 because that's the dish.
Yeah.
No, there's plenty, and people can just take some of the chutneys, take some of the curry, and just ladle it onto their plate.
Yeah.
That's quite different than the sharing concept that gets criticized.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. But that's somebody recently asked me about that, and I said actually, if sharing's done right, then it's okay. Like if you know somebody's. There's a table of 4 and they're ordering something that there's going to be 3 of, explain to them, say, okay, you're going to need another one of them or double up on something else. If you have a table of 6, they clearly have to have 2 of everything or 3 of everything that they order in order to be able to, everybody be able to have a taste of whatever's getting served. So I think if it is done right and there's enough for everybody to have a taste of the sharing thing, then it's,
and it's fun,
exactly.
and it's a good night.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, and that's definitely what I like about your concept. But also, after all these years, what's the favorite that you still have on the menu? Do you still like going to the restaurant and taking a spoon of this and that?
Well, I recently did last week I did this. I took just a bowl, and the best part of when you got a bowl, you can have a little bit of everything, and they were just wrapping things up, and just like at the festival, I was like rice, butter paneer, and I was like, can you just fry me one piece of fried chicken? They were like, yeah, and I was like, just while I fry a little piece of cauliflower. I made myself a little thing of our favorites. I have butter paneer because I know that I want the fried chicken, and then the cauliflower, the gobi, and then you get you've got a gravy. I've got something with the thing, and then of course our salad bars, colourful. I was like pickled onions, red onions, the sieve, the crunchy thing, pomegranates, and all of that. So you can just I had like a nice layer. I didn't pick one there, did I? Just a little bit of everything.
No, but you didn't pick one, but it does say a lot.
Well, I will, and then
I love the excitement that you still have for the food.
Yeah.
Well, we started also with Indian burgers, and at a certain moment we had to stop doing them, and we kind of still offer them on the festivals in a roll. So whenever it's festival season starting again, I really enjoy that first lamb seek roll, which is our Bombay bad boy, as we call it. Maybe it's still my favorite.
Yeah, you like that one, with the mint mayo,
tamarind sauce.
I love the excitement about your own stuff because that's what matters. Like if you're not excited about what you do,
exactly.
how can you pass the excitement on to staff? But most importantly, to customers.
Yeah. No. We had, the hardest part for us is always to bring newness because some of our staples are so good. We tried it with some of the fried chicken, for example. We took it off for a while and everyone was like, what? And we were like, yeah, we just want to try another chicken. They were like, no. We had in our group chats from a thing, it was like, customers are really asking this, and then end of the week, everyone's really annoyed. They want to order. We're like, okay, you get your regular. Like, okay, we tried, so we have to take it off and put some of the old stuff back on.
Yeah, that's also quite impressive that there's classics now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Signature gravies and classic sauces. Like I think what I think's a little bit unique for what we do is it's classics, but really with again our favorite food. Like we wanted to eat fried chicken.
Even those became a classic for the restaurant. You cannot take them off anymore. They're your signature dish.
We're currently working on a new menu for all the restaurants, but new menu is maybe a big word because what we are basically doing is keeping the classics. They're not to be touched, and then maybe add on replace 1 or 2 dishes, and that's basically it.
But it's hard. It's really hard.
Because probably that classics becomes untouchables.
They are untouchables. That's what they should be called, actually, not classics. They are the untouchables. Yeah, and then room for new ones. And we also we don't do crazy big menus. And I think it's really important. That's something that we maintain because I think the bigger the menu, it kind of compromises quality.
First of all. Second of all, it adds a lot more stress to choose.
Yeah. You're saying from a guest perspective.
I hate long menus because I'm like, are you sure you guys are able to make this? And second of all, like, What?
Yeah, exactly. But the big menu, that means something will go to waste. And I'm really not into wasting stuff. So it's like, okay, so let's keep it a little bit focused, digestible, quality, and then making it easier for our guests to choose as well. Yeah.
Is there anything you would still like to try that you haven't gotten to on the menu?
Yeah, we're still trying to get our momos, no? We're like massive fans of dumplings. And then our last trip in India, we were like, butter chicken momos? Like, but it was like momo,
Everywhere.
but the curry version. And we were like, okay,
I
this
thought
is...
momos were a Tibetan thing.
They are Tibetan, but again, fried chicken is also not a Indian thing.
I'm
So
pretty sure the whole world knows fried. I mean,
yeah.
the technique of frying probably
Chili
existed
paneer
everywhere.
Chili paneer is also like a Chinese influence, so it's also not 100% traditional Indian, but we love
But
it.
if you go to India, you'll get their food trends. So now at the moment, it's all about momos and Nepalese and Tibetan food that's come down. But at the same time, you have like the street Maggi noodles or these are all dishes that are just their trends. And we're like, okay, we'll just latch them onto us. But we give ourselves creative freedom to bring on food that we want to eat and just give it the mission twist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's your prerogative as a restaurant owner.
Yeah.
At the same time, our last trip was to Malaysia, and that's another new world that opened up for us, because we saw then the mamaks, as Pavan described them earlier. So Indian Muslim traders back in the day moved on to the east, and they brought their Indian food, and now it became something new, something different. Mee goreng mamak is like my favorite noodle dishes ever. So almost curry noodles, absolutely. But then they bring the shrimp paste in.
Yeah. With Indian masalas.
Yeah.
But what's
The
the other
satay
one?
chicken.
The nasi kandar. The nasi kandar. This is like a curry buffet. It's amazing. So you queue up, and then it's one plate. They put rice on it, and then you point at everything you want. So there is a curry chicken, a fried chicken, there's like a squid, there's like massive prawns that have been fried and grilled. And then everything you point to, they don't put it around it. It's not like a thali. They're like bam,
On
bam,
top of each other.
bam, on top of it, another papadum, bam. And then they'll put like the okra that's steamed on the side, bam. And you just come away with it's
5 different gravies on top of each other.
Wow.
And believe me,
amazing.
sounds delicious.
Yeah, we went back
It
how many
works.
times to that? That was amazing.
But it's like also like especially when you talk about Malaysia, for example, the laksa, their soup also like the curry base has somewhat of an Indian accent to it, and at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I think
so
a
the
lot of
influence
people-
is definitely there.
Yeah, for sure. But I think for me, that was a big eye-opening for me. Like, this is also Indian, like their creative...
So soon we will be introducing like a satay chicken.
Yeah, that was
Gravy.
inspired by the last trip as well. Like a nice satay chicken.
It's one of the new things. And so we keep looking and getting inspired, and
It's
I
exciting.
just again it's I see something and I'm like, I want to try that, and then I have to go back to the kitchen. Please, can you make that?
Sri Lanka is
it
also
works.
a nice
Sri Lanka,
influence for us at the
absolutely.
moment. That's something that we travel to quite often, and we really enjoy the food that comes from there. That's like, I think in Karma Kitchen for us, we've put a lot. The hot butter squid is there. It's like a chili squid. But it's really the use of coconut that they have on the menus. It's really I love the heat that they bring.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
I would like to see more dosas.
More dosa, well, this is something that we had.
Some
We
trials
tried
recently.
We've had a whole load, haven't
Yeah.
we, recently?
Yeah.
So we're trying to nail the right fermentation stages. We were trying to the butter that goes on top. We were just
I remember
for breakfast.
in Mumbai we once traveled 3-4 hours.
To the Mysore dosa. He called it Mysore dosa. It's not a Mysore dosa because nobody else made it like that. It was amazing with grated beetroot, and you put a layer. I think we went like 3 or 4 times.
Just to go and try that one particular dosa. But we will, because we're going to start introducing brunches. And I think we're going to start in Bombay Barbecue in Brussels, maybe followed in by Mission Masala Gent. And there we can bring on different stuff. And dosa will be definitely one of the menu
We'll let you
items.
know.
I'll have to make a trip to Brussels then.
Yeah,
Or even
you're
closer
welcome.
to Ghent once it's in Ghent. So they're the two places we'd like to start with the breakfast as well.
Good to know. It's just always difficult to get up early after a long shift in the
Yeah,
restaurant, but sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah.
Voilà.
Good, no, exciting. Lastly, you guys brought me a little something. It says already on the packaging, Mission Masala's fire water, but I'm excited what it is. Please tell me more.
So this is a
One of our lockdown ideas.
Lockdown projects.
Yeah. So we had some time on our hands, and so what about making our own rum? So we teamed up with Lester from 2040 Social Club, making his own amazing rums, and he helped us to blend and spice some.
We drank a lot of his rums before we decided we also would like one, right? I think it was born from one of the evening sessions after finishing a shift and like downing half of his rum. We're like, we should make some.
And this is also another link to the Indian world, because I see on the back it's Barbados Jamaican rums.
Yeah.
But there was also a lot of migration from Indians to the
exactly.
Caribbean at a certain point.
Well, for us, to be honest, it's more going back to the rum kitchen. It's maybe the restaurant concept that inspired us the most when we started the restaurants.
Unfortunately, it's no longer. It kind of it lost its pace. But at the time, it was something that really
Absolutely, yeah. And so we've always been like some reggae Jamaican vibes, and then
tropical
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's nice, warm. But we have there's a couple. So we've got the house blend, and then we've also got the pineapple rum.
And then we thought, okay, and why not start brewing our own beer? And the next idea came on now. This, next to the rums, we also have two of our own beers.
So Belgium is very famous for our beer culture. India is a big country that has beer breweries. Not really at the same level of Belgium in terms of prestige, I would say.
No.
So how do you go about making a beer for your restaurants? Do you look at what we have and then make something different, or do you look at...
I think it more for the culture. The culture is having a curry and a beer. You know, I think it's maybe a little bit more British in that sense of just knowing that it shouldn't. Not everybody wants to sip a cocktail, and then you need something that you can wash down flavors with. It has to be light, mega easy to drink. And yeah.
At the same time, I remember last time we were drinking a beer in India. I look at the back of the label, and it says on the bottom, brewed in Belgium.
Oh, yeah, it was Bira was brewed in Belgium. And that's when you were like, hey, we should be brewing our own beer in Belgium.
And we tried to import it, and that was impossible.
Wow.
It's only brewed for export, and you can't take it. But it was a nice bottle, yeah. So then, I think, again, an Indian pale ale, you know, all the whole story of that. I think, so it was important for us just to have something super light, easy to drink, and, to not get too full on while you're eating.
And then a different flavor because you have to.
Oh, yeah. So
The mango double IPA.
A lot of fun.
Always.
it's not fruity, so I think a lot of people are really surprised with the flavor, as in like they don't expect it's not mango like a creek is cherry, you know. So that's something that we've always like, okay.
The sour is definitely there now, but it's a strong beer. Yeah. So
And that's just because you can.
just
What
to
a
keep
great
us busy.
idea. Let's do it.
yeah. We like to complicate
But
things.
we have a nice team also. Also, it's important to mention everything we do is because we're supported by some very strong people, without doubt.
And it's also the fun projects they work
Of
on. I
course.
think I can only say like the rums and the beers I have absolutely nothing to do with, apart from tasting and just going, yep, nice branding, thanks, it looks good, and you know, all of that kind of stuff.
Tastes good, looks good, approved.
Yeah, exactly.
Stamp of approval.
Yeah. And that's not something. It's really nice to know that someone can do that within
But of
your
course,
team.
when you get to the level that you are now, if you're just like 3 max in a food truck, it's very hands-on. It's very different. Now you have to rely on people to do a good job, and then maybe guide them a certain direction.
Yeah, definitely.
To stay within the DNA of what you've created.
Yeah, I think that's
you have to let them go and run off with it.
The team is still surprisingly small. It's not huge. Okay, in our outlets it's something else, but I think the actual core team is a team of maybe 6 or 7. We're a very small, compact team, and we get on socially, which is really helpful. We do share the same passion.
For sure.
Yeah, for us it's. They're not our employees. They're really just our team, and we work with them as our team. We share that kind of relationship with them, and I think that's something. That's the strength. That's the strength that we know they care just as much as we do, and we care because we care about them, and vice versa. You know, it's really that kind of relationship that we have with each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, what else is in the pipeline? Because to me, it seems there's well, first of all, the new menu that you're testing and working on, the brunch club that is coming.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like the ideas are flowing and they're still floating in there, and maybe they're not quite there yet to say like definitively this is happening, but. It feels to me like there's always ideas you guys are working on.
Yeah, well, somehow have to, because if you don't, then I mean. What do you say in Dutch? Stilstaan is achteruit gaan. And it definitely feels like that. So I feel like we always have to think, okay, how can we do things better and move on and try something different.
But also just to give our guests something to try. I think it's the idea of just becoming static is quite makes us nervous because we're like, what are we doing that's going to be new? You know. So I think these kind of
just only a few weeks ago, we finally wrapped up our festival season because it's trust me, like we start in April, May. Yeah. And then it's week in, week out from one festival to another with sometimes 30 people on the road. It's super intense. Finally, all festivals are over and it's Car-Free Sunday in Brussels. And we're like, why not organize an event? And we just closed the restaurant, took our kitchen outside on the terrace underneath the awning. And then we started making fresh rotis and a green egg outside. So just some show cooking on the street as it's done in India, and it was so successful, and we're like, okay, maybe we should repeat that more often.
Just
maybe
one dish perfected over generations of Tim's family.
That's now what I started to realize. Okay, guys, let's keep it simple. You know, let's do.
Says Tim.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now? It's winter, and during this meant to be hibernation period of everybody recovering before the heavy season, focusing a little bit of stabilizing and quality. Tim, that's the time where Tim will start giving. That's your brain starts birthing new ideas, and so I think that's what normally happens. Is hibernation is not necessarily hibernation for Tim's brain.
Well, and then there's definitely going to be a new curry club coming up. Soon we'll be allowed to give more detail about it. And this is something we still see growing also, although the Mission Masala restaurants. Amsterdam, we would love to move to.
Gezellig.
But we were so lucky to be asked by quite a lot of big festivals in Holland also. And we've been doing them for a couple of years now. And we see the Dutchies are definitely ready for
this year is the first year you did that full-blown festival setup, Best Kept Secret. So they rocked
down
up
the rabbit hole.
And down the rabbit hole. They rocked up with cocktail bar, DJ booth. So there was DJ thing. Then you had 3 of our food stands. You had the Bombay barbecue rolls, the naan rolls, and then you had the snack shack with all the fried bits, and then you had the curry club stuff with all the curry. So it was almost like an Indian village in a little corner. So that was the first time we did that, which was pretty. We got a little taste of, and we're like, oh, this could be fun. So maybe that's something a little bit more exciting to work on.
And that's great for festivals because they get extra entertainment that they're not paying for, but it does add to the experience of their visitors. So
we really rock up with the.
See, that's why you worked at Polypoly.
But
a lot of that experience
you
comes in
taught me
handy
a lot
now.
for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the first thing you have to also remember, the first Barrio Cantina you did, you said Yo came up and was like, "What is this?" And he picked up the phone and he ordered more lights and more trees and more things. He was the one that was like, So I think some of that's rubbed off on you for sure.
Visionary for sure. Yeah.
It always starts somewhere. And you definitely pick those influences up and then move on and roll on.
To keep on learning.
All right, very exciting stuff. If people want to know more about upcoming curry clubs and projects and everything else, I'm guessing social media is the best way.
Best way, just get on our Insta.
Ja.
And that's it.
And then the end of November, run to the bookstore,
exactly,
get the book,
please.
gift the book, read the book, cook from the book.
Tell us about it.
Drop me messages. I still manage the Insta, so I think it's really nice if anyone wants to say anything, or I'd be happy to hear all of you.
Tag, share, like, subscribe.
Absolutely, the usual.
Exactly. But very exciting stuff. I'm excited to try the house blend drum.
Yeah.
A little
Once
secret.
you get your way through it.
Little secret, I've tried it in the restaurant and it's delicious. But I'm very happy to have a bottle here in the collection.
Oh, nice.
And it's going to look great in every video, I hope.
Yeah.
So that's also important, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, can't wait to come back to the restaurant.
Oh, thanks a lot. We had lots of fun as well.
Or at one of the events.
As well, even though it's winter now.
Keep on going.
Let's wait a couple of months, but I'll definitely be queuing up when I see one of the trucks, that's for sure.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bedankt om te luisteren naar Overeten. Vond je het een leuke aflevering? Deel deze podcast dan zeker met andere foodies. Tag me gerust op Facebook of Instagram via @overetenpodcast. Honger naar meer? Dat is mijn maandelijkse nieuwsbrief vol eet, drink en luisterplezier. Schrijf je in via de website, dat is www.overetenpodcast.be. Bedankt en hopelijk tot binnenkort.